Imagine this. You wake up one freezing morning in the winter of 1886, somewhere on the western frontier. You don't know it yet, but you're about to face the deadliest winter anyone around here has ever seen. The kind of cold that doesn't just sting your skin, it bites hard. A cold so brutal that it could freeze a grown man solid before he even realizes what's happening. A cold so unforgiving cattle would literally freeze, standing up frozen statues scattered across the plains. And if you're listening to this, getting cozy, maybe falling asleep, I'd really appreciate it if you gave this video a like or hit subscribe. And hey, I'm always blown away seeing where you all tune in from, so drop a comment. Let me know what country or state you're in, and what time it is where you are right now. It never stops. Amazing me how people from all over the world are listening to these stories, sometimes just to drift off to sleep. All right, get comfortable. Snuggle into whatever you're lying on. Take a deep breath. Because trust me, by the time we're done, you're going to be really grateful for that soft bed, that heated room, and the luxury of not waking up in a cabin that's colder inside than most people will ever experience outside. So yeah, congratulations. You've just woken up in the winter of 1886. Your eyes open slowly. The world around you is dim, quiet, heavy with cold. The air inside your tiny log cabin bites at your nose with every breath, sharp and painful. There's no central heating, no furnace humming in the background. The fire went out hours ago, and the air is so cold it feels like it could crack. You lie there for a moment, wrapped up under a pile of heavy blankets, layers of wool, animal hides, anything you managed to prepare before the cold came. You can hear the faint creaking of the log walls as the wind pushes against them. Frost coats the inside of the window if you even have glass. If you're less lucky, it's just oiled paper stretched tight to keep the wind out, but not the cold. You can actually see your breath curling in the air right in front of your face. It clouds there lingering longer than you'd expect, like the cabin itself is holding on to it, because it's the only warmth around. And here's the thing, you don't jump out of bed. Nope, nobody does in this kind of cold. The first fight of the day is just convincing yourself to leave the relative warmth of your bed, knowing full well that the instant the covers come off, that icy air is going to hit you like a slap. But eventually, you have no choice. You slowly, reluctantly stick one hand out from under the covers and immediately regret it. The cold sinks into your skin so fast it feels like it could shatter. This isn't a little chilly. This is a kind of cold with teeth. It bites first, then burns, then numbs. And that numbness, it's not comfort, it's danger. Out here, ignoring that sting means frostbite, or worse. Still, you've done this enough times to know the drill. You throw the covers back in one quick motion and immediately grab for the bundle of clothes you kept tucked under your blanket all night. Yeah, you learned that trick a while ago. Any clothes left sitting out would be frozen stiff. But tucked down at the foot of your bed, they're at least body temperature. Sort of. Your feet hit the wooden plank floor, even through the thick wool socks, and the cold shoots straight up your legs. No more waiting. Time to move. First job of the day. Fire. Always the fire. You rush to the little iron stove in the corner of the cabin. The ashes from last night's fire are cold and gray. But you planned for this, you always do. Right next to the stove is a pile of kindling. Thin sticks, bark, maybe a little dry grass, if you had the foresight to collect some before the snow came. And most importantly, the matches kept in your coat pocket while you slept, so they didn't absorb moisture and fail you now. Your fingers are already stiff, and you can feel the creeping panic that happens when you realize they'll stop working altogether if you're not fast enough. You arrange the kindling, strike the match, and cup your hands around that tiny flame like it's the most valuable thing in the world. Because honestly, it is. Fire isn't just comfort out here. It's not about ambiance. Fire is life. No exaggeration. The kindling catches, and the first flickers of warmth push back the worst of the cold. A tiny victory, but a critical one. You feed in bigger sticks. Then, finally, a few logs. The metal stove starts to creak as it heats. The sides warm first. Then finally, the air begins to soften just a little. But here's the thing you probably didn't expect. Out here on the Great Plains, firewood isn't always an option. Forests, miles away sometimes. So you burn buffalo chips. Yeah, exactly what it sounds like. Dried buffalo dung. Don't cringe. It was an absolute lifesaver. Once it's dried, it burns hot steady and surprisingly clean. No smell. Free fuel everywhere. When the buffalo herds were nearly wiped out, cow chips replaced them. Not glamorous, not romantic, but it worked. And survival doesn't care about pride. You toss a few into the stove. They catch easily now, flames licking up the sides. Warmth spreads, slowly but steadily. You hold your hands out, turning them, feeling sensation coming back. Pins and needles, yes, but better than the aching numb. Outside, it's still pitch black. The sun won't show up for another hour. Out here, winter days are cruelly short. Not much daylight to get everything done. And trust me, every hour counts, because your entire life depends on doing enough before the dark comes back. Inside the cabin, the fire's glow bounces off rough wooden walls. Your home is tiny. One room, maybe 14 by 16 feet, about the size of a modern bedroom. This is your kitchen, your living room, your bedroom, everything all in one space. Every object here has to earn its place. A simple table, a few stools, a trunk for the precious few things you own. The windows are tiny if you're lucky enough to have real glass at all. Most don't. Glass was expensive, fragile. Every window is a hole where precious heat escapes. The fire's going now, enough to start cooking. You set a pot on top of the stove. Inside, dried beans that soaked overnight in cold water. Maybe a bit of salt pork if you've got it. A simple meal. But out here, simple keeps you alive. And while that simmers, it's time to layer up. Because the real work is out there. And the real cold, the kind that waits beyond that cabin door. You start layering up. Because out here, layering isn't fashion, it's survival. First comes your long underwear, what folks called long johns back then. Thick, scratchy wool from ankle to wrist. It traps a layer of warm air right against your skin, a lifesaver in temperatures like this. Then comes a heavy flannel shirt, maybe a wool vest over that to protect your core. Wool was king out here. It keeps you warm, even when it's wet. Cotton deadly in winter. If it gets wet, it turns cold and sucks the heat right out of your body. Folks had a saying, cotton kills, and they weren't kidding. On top of that, a thick wool coat. If you're one of the lucky ones, it's lined with fur. Beaver rabbit, even buffalo hide if you manage to get your hands on one. The kind of coat that feels like wearing a portable furnace. It's heavy, like carrying a small child around, but it keeps you alive. For your legs, heavy wool trousers. Maybe leather chaps over those if you've got work that involves riding. Leather helps cut the wind. And out here, wind is as much your enemy as the cold. A bad wind can slice through even the thickest layers like a knife. You double up on wool socks, sometimes triple, before jamming your feet into sturdy leather boots. Waterproofed with beeswax or animal fat, because if your boots get wet, game over. Your feet won't just get cold, they'll freeze. Your hands get the best protection you can manage. Gloves work okay, But mittens are better. They let your fingers share warmth instead of each one fighting alone. And finally, always a hat. You never ever go out bareheaded in winter. A wool hat pulled low over your ears. Maybe even a fur-lined one if you were smart or rich enough to snag one. A scarf wraps around your neck and lower face, leaving only a slit for your eyes. Because out there, that wind doesn't just sting. It burns. It bites. It finds every tiny gap and punishes you for it. You brace yourself, take a breath, and push open the cabin door. And yeah, the cold hits you like a wall. Not just cold. This is air so frigid it feels physical. It has weight. Your breath explodes out in a cloud of vapor that hangs in the air, not going anywhere, just floating like a ghost. The snow crunches under your boots, deep packed and hard. Wind slices across the open plains, unobstructed by trees or hills. Just miles and miles of nothing but white stretching out to the horizon. First job of the day. The animals. They depend on you completely. Maybe you've got a milk cow, a few chickens, if you're lucky, a mule or a horse. Your barn, or maybe it's just a rough lean-to, is barely warmer than outside. It blocks the wind, sure, but that's about it. The animals huddle together, breathing in big clouds of steam, their bodies pressed close just to share warmth. Their eyes watch you as you trudge in. They don't complain, animals never do, but you can tell they're struggling too. You head straight to the water trough. Overnight, it's frozen solid. You chip at the ice, your hands going numb even through the mittens. Eventually, you break through maybe with an axe, maybe with a crowbar, and clear out the ice. Then you haul water from the well, or if the well's frozen, you melt snow over the stove, back inside. Either way, it's heavy, miserable work. But if the animals don't drink, they die. Simple as that. Next feed. You pull hay from the stack. Maybe some grain if you've managed to store enough. But there's this constant calculation going on in your head. You've got to stretch your supplies until spring. Feed too much now, and the animals won't survive later. Feed too little. They might not survive the night. And while you work, the cold gnaws at you. It works its way through every seam, every fold of cloth, every tiny crack in your layers. Your fingers start to hurt. Not just sting, but ache deep in the joints. That's how you know it's getting serious. You stamp your feet, swing your arms, anything to keep the blood moving. You don't ignore the signs. Out here, people who ignore the signs lose fingers, toes, noses, ears. You've seen it happen. You've seen a neighbor come back from a bad storm with skin turned black dead flesh that would never heal. You've seen what frostbite does, so you work fast. You get the animals fed, watered, as comfortable as they're going to get. Then back inside. The blast of warmth from the stove feels like a miracle. You strip off the outer layers, quickly hanging them near the stove, but not too close. Wet clothes are dangerous, but scorched clothes are useless. The smell inside the cabin is different now. It's a mix of smoke, wool, wet leather, and the rich smell of beans simmering on the stove, filling the little space with a kind of comfort that's hard to describe unless you've been out there in the wind. You eat fast, not because you're rushed, but because the heat from the food feels like it's saving your life from the inside out. It fills your belly, your chest, your fingertips. A hot meal isn't just nice in weather like this. It's survival. Your body's furnace needs fuel. And in winter, that means calories. Lots of them. And you eat knowing what's coming, because you can see it in the sky. The old-timers were right. There's a look to the sky before a storm. A strange, heavy color, almost green, almost gray. The wind smells different. The way the clouds move. You can feel it in your bones. A storm's coming. A bad one. And out here, storms aren't just inconvenient. They aren't stay inside and wait it out kind of events. They're killers. Blizzards so fierce you can't see your hand in front of your face. Winds that shove snow into every crack, every crevice. Cold that can freeze your skin solid in minutes. You've heard the stories, everyone has, about folks who went out to check on the barn just 10 feet from the back door and never made it back. Found in the spring, curled in the snow, frozen just steps from safety. Because in a whiteout 10 feet might as well be 10 miles. So you start preparing. You grab a rope, a long one, and tie it from the cabin door to the barn. A lifeline. Something to follow when the snow turns the world into a blinding swirl of white nothing. You check the firewood. Pile more buffalo chips by the stove. You scan the food supplies, doing the math in your head. If this storm lasts days, maybe weeks, how long will the beans, the salt pork, the flour hold out? Will it be enough? And then you wait. There's a silence that comes before a big storm. A strange, heavy quiet. The wind dies down. The birds disappear. Everything feels still, like the whole world is holding its breath. And then it starts. Just a few snowflakes at first, gentle drifting down like feathers. But within minutes, it changes. The wind screams back to life. The snow turns sideways, hitting your cabin like fists. The sky disappears. The world vanishes into white. And just like that, the fight for survival starts all over again. The wind howls around your little cabin like something alive, something angry. It shoves at the walls, rattles the door, forces icy air through every tiny crack. You shove another chunk of wood, or more likely, another buffalo chip, into the stove, watching the flames flare brighter, hotter. The heat feels like armor, now a shield between you and the nightmare that's raging just inches away outside. You check the rope to the barn again, pulling it tight, making sure the knot holds. That rope is life. Lose it, and you could step out the door and never find your way back. Out here, there's no streetlights, no fences, no landmarks. When the snow blows like this, just white in every direction. Up, down, left, right. Doesn't matter. In a blizzard like this, every direction looks exactly the same. The temperature is falling fast, maybe 30 degrees below zero by nightfall, maybe worse. Cold like this doesn't just make your skin sting. It freezes exposed flesh in less than a minute. Your breath freezes to the scarf over your mouth, turning it stiff, crusted with ice. Any skin left uncovered is in danger. Fingers, toes, ears, even your eyes water, and that moisture turns to ice at the corners. Inside, you shove every blanket you own onto your bed. Wool, fur, anything that traps warmth. You pull out an old trick heat some rocks in the stove, then wrap them in cloth and tuck them under the covers. It won't stay warm all night, but it'll buy you a few precious hours before the cold creeps back in. Dinner's simple. Beans, salt pork, maybe a bit of cornbread if you're lucky. The smell fills the cabin, mixing with the smoky scent of the stove and the slightly damp wool hanging to dry. It's comforting. It smells like survival. As you eat, you listen to the storm. The wind moans around the corners of the cabin. Snow drives hard against the walls, sometimes so fierce it sounds like sandpaper scraping wood. You glance at the door half expecting it to blow open. You know it's barred, but still, the wind sounds determined like it wants in. Every so often, The fire pops, sending a spark or two against the stove's metal door. You keep an eye on it. The fire is everything now. It's not just about warmth. It's about life. You don't let it go out. Not for a second. The windows, if you've got real glass, are completely frosted over a thick layer of ice, forming crazy patterns like nature's stained glass. If you've only got oiled paper in the frames, it's stiff now, brittle from the cold, the edges curling under the weight of ice and snow, packing against the outside. You step closer to the wall and press your palm to the logs. Cold. So cold, it almost burns. The wind is forcing snow through the tiniest gaps. Little drifts are piling up along the inside of the windowsills. You brush them away, but they'll be back within minutes. It's strange the things that go through your mind in moments like this. The storm's out there, wild, furious, dangerous. And yet, inside this small space, you've created something that feels safe. Fragile, yes, but safe. There's a kind of pride that comes with knowing you built this with your own hands, that the warmth you're feeling right now is something you made happen. But you're not naive. You know how dangerous this is. You've heard the stories. You've seen the aftermath, the blizzard of January 1887. That's what they'll call it later. 16 inches of snow in as many hours. Winds so fierce they buried entire houses under drifts. Temperatures dropping to 46 below zero in some places. Cattle froze where they stood, their bodies still upright in the snow, as if time just stopped. People, too, found in the spring curled in snowbanks, just feet from their own front doors, wandering in circles in a whiteout, unable to tell where they were, until the cold finally claimed them. That's why you tied the rope. That's why you've stacked every last bit of fuel inside. Why you've triple-checked your food. You don't mess around with weather like this. The fire's going strong now. You feed it again, building the flames higher than usual. You're burning through fuel faster than you'd like, but this isn't a time to be stingy. Heat is survival. You glance outside, but the window's just a wall of white. There's nothing to see. No sky, no ground. Just swirling snow spinning so thick and fast that it looks solid, like the whole world turned into a block of moving ice. You sit by the stove, hands stretched out toward the heat, and think about your neighbors. Maybe a mile away. Maybe two. Are they okay? Did they tie a rope? Do they have enough wood? Enough food? You want to check, but you can't. Not now. Going outside in this would be suicide. You'll check when it's safe. You hope they're thinking the same about you. That's how it works out here. Nobody survives alone. You check on each other. Share what you've got. Not because you're feeling charitable, but because next time it might be you who needs the help. Out here helping your neighbor isn't kindness. It's insurance. You check the rope again, still tight. Still there? Good. Then you look around your little cabin. It's simple, crude even. But it's shelter. 4 walls, a roof, a stove. A little oasis of warmth in a world that right now feels like it's trying to kill you. The wind rattles the walls again, harder this time. You hear something creak. A beam in the roof. Or just the pressure of snow piling higher against the outside walls. Doesn't matter. You grab a broom and push at the door, testing it. The snow's drifted halfway up already. You push some away just enough to make sure the door doesn't freeze shut completely. Then you check the barn rope one more time. Still holding. The storm howls on. You settle back onto your straw mattress, piling the blankets over you. The rocks you heated are already starting to cool, but they'll buy you some time. And as you lie there listening to the storm's angry voice, something else settles in too. A strange kind of peace, because Yeah, it's brutal out there. But in here, you've got warmth, you've got food, you've got shelter. And for tonight, that's enough. Morning comes slowly creeping into your cabin, like it's cautious, unsure if it even belongs here after a night like that. The first thing you notice is the quiet. Not silence exactly. The wind still pushes against the walls. Snow still whispers against the windows. But the fury, the anger that's faded. For now, you lie still for a moment, buried beneath the heavy layers of blankets, feeling the comforting pressure soaking in the warmth. It's temporary peace, you know. Soon you'll have to get up, face the cold, see what damage the storms left behind. But right now, this little moment of warmth and quiet, you hold on to it as long as you can. Eventually, you force yourself to move. Sitting up, the air inside the cabin feels icy on your skin, sharp enough to sting your face. You see your breath hang in the air, ghostly shapes drifting around you. Overnight, the fire's faded to embers, barely alive under a layer of ash. You climb out of bed quickly, shivering as your feet touch the freezing plank floor. Everything aches. Your muscles, your bones, even breathing hurts a little. The cold gets into you like that. It seeps through, settling deep. Quickly, you toss more fuel into the stove. A few sticks, some buffalo chips, maybe a chunk of precious firewood. The embers glow brighter, flaring into flames. Within minutes, warmth slowly creeps back, chasing away some of the worst chill. You glance at the window. Frost coats the inside in thick layers, forming patterns so intricate they look painted. You scrape at the ice with your fingernail. It flakes off easily, piling on the sill. And behind that frosted glass, the world has changed completely. The storm buried everything. Snow drifts halfway up the cabin walls. The familiar landmarks, fences, paths, rocks gone. Just smooth, white shapes, curving gracefully in the pale morning light. Even the sky looks different, pale and washed out, as if exhausted from its own fury. You pull on your layers again. Long john shirt, vest, coat, mittens, boots. It feels routine now. Familiar. Each piece of clothing, a layer of armor against the cold waiting outside. You step to the door, bracing yourself. You pull it open, and sunlight, thin and cold, floods the cabin. The world is so bright, it's blinding, snow reflecting sunlight like a million tiny mirrors. You squint against the glare, step outside, and immediately sink into snow up to your knees. Breaking trail through fresh snow is exhausting, each step taking effort, lifting and pushing forward. Within minutes, you're breathing hard, sweat forming beneath your layers. Dangerous. You know sweat freezes, but you have no choice. The animals need care. You need to know what happened overnight. You follow the rope, grateful. You tied it before the storm. Without it, you could easily wander off, lose direction. But with the rope guiding you, you push forward, step by step, struggling against the drifts. The barn comes into view, nearly buried. Snow piled high against the walls, drifting up the door. You grab the shovel, leaning against the barn, and start digging, your muscles protesting with every scoop of heavy snow. It takes time, precious minutes, but finally you clear enough to push the door open and squeeze inside. The animals greet you with restless movement, their breath clouding thick in the air. They're hungry, thirsty, nervous from the night of storming wind and deafening noise. You break ice on their water trough again. Thick, tough ice formed overnight in temperatures that dropped impossibly low. You refill it, hauling bucket after bucket from the well or melting snow back at the stove. Feed comes next. You ration it carefully, measuring exactly how much they need. It's never enough. Not really. You see it in their eyes, their movements, but it's all you have. The animals know nothing of rations of scarcity. They only know hunger. But you, the caretaker, you know how precious every handful of feed is, how carefully it must be used if you're going to make it through winter. As you work, you look out the barn door, studying the changed landscape. There's a strange beauty to it. Snow draped over fences and sheds like blankets, smoothing every sharp edge. Trees stand frozen branches heavy with ice. It's beautiful, but it's a cruel beauty, a deadly beauty, because beneath the snow are things you can't yet see. Damage you haven't found. Animals that didn't survive. Fences snapped under snow weight. Roofs weakened. Supplies buried or ruined. Those discoveries will come soon enough, painful and costly. But for now, the scene before you looks peaceful, quiet. The wind picks up slightly swirling loose snow around your boots. A warning. The storm isn't finished, not entirely. Winter on the frontier never truly ends. It pauses, rests briefly, gathers its strength, and returns again and again. Your chores finished, you head back to the cabin, following the rope once more. The cabin looks impossibly small in the vast white landscape, a tiny speck of warmth and safety. But it's enough. It has to be. Inside the stove has warmed the space a little. You strip off the outer layers again, hanging them near the stove to dry any moisture. Then you sit leaning close to the fire, letting heat soak deep into your bones. You think about what winter means out here. It's not just cold or snow or inconvenience. It's survival. It's preparation, adaptation, resilience. It tests you, pushes you, sometimes breaks you. But it also reveals something inside you. Strength you didn't know you had. Determination, born out of necessity. And something else, community. Because you know soon enough you'll need to check on neighbors. They'll need to check on you. You'll trade supplies, share news, offer help. Because survival out here isn't a solo effort. It never has been. It's about connections, people looking out for each other. That's how they survive, how you survive. You sit by the fire, listening to the wind softly whistle around the corners of the cabin. It's calmer now, less threatening. The worst, for the moment, has passed, but the work is far from over. Winter is long, relentless, demanding. Each day brings new challenges, new dangers, new lessons. But for this brief moment, by this warm fire, you let yourself rest. You close your eyes, letting the warmth ease away some of the aches and stiffness from a morning spent battling winter's aftermath. Because soon, too soon, you'll have to move again. Venture out. Repair fences, clear snow. Prepare again for the next storm, the next test of survival. But not just yet. For now, just for now, you sit quietly. You breathe deeply. You listen to the crackle of the fire, the soft hiss of melting snow dripping from your roof. For this moment, you're safe, warm, alive. And out here, that's no small victory. Days slip by in a steady rhythm of bitter cold, endless chores, and brief moments of relief by the warmth of the stove. But out here, winter isn't just about cold. It's about endurance. Mental endurance, physical endurance. It's about the small victories you string together day after day. Each task completed, each animal cared for, each storm survived. Every small triumph counts, but you start noticing something else, subtle shifts around you. Tiny signals nature sends that the worst isn't quite over yet. There's a strange sense of unease in the air, an edge of tension beneath the quiet. It's another morning colder than usual. The fire is burning bright, the cabin slowly warming from last night's icy chill. You glance outside and notice the skies darkened again, clouds gathering thick on the horizon. Another storm maybe, but this feels different. This feels heavier, darker, more dangerous. You pull your coat tight, step outside into the biting cold, and look around carefully. There's a heaviness to the air. The wind feels damp, carrying moisture that makes your bones ache. The clouds rolling in are thick, ominous, and low, almost pressing against the earth. Every settler who's been through winters like this knows exactly what that means. Another blizzard one that might be worse than the last. Your mind races calculating supplies, feed firewood water. Did you ration carefully enough? Can you withstand another storm? And what about your neighbors? Are they ready? Quickly, you begin preparations. You refill water barrels, pile extra wood and buffalo chips near the stove. You tie the rope tighter, reinforcing the line from cabin to barn. You double-check food supplies, measuring carefully. You don't panic, but there's urgency in every movement now. You know how quickly things turn deadly out here. As you finish preparations, the first flakes start falling small, delicate, deceptively gentle. But it doesn't last. Within minutes, snow swirls harder. Winds gust stronger. The temperature plummets again, brutal cold, biting into your exposed skin. You retreat. Inside, shut the door firmly. Bar it tightly. The storm gathers strength outside, winds howling fiercely, slamming snow against your cabin. The walls creak, protesting under the weight and pressure. You've heard stories of blizzards burying entire homesteads. Families trapped inside for days, weeks digging themselves out when spring finally arrives. You know how quickly a storm like this can erase everything familiar. But the fear doesn't stop you. It motivates you. You keep moving, keep working, doing what needs to be done. You heat rocks again, tucking them beneath your blankets, preparing for another brutally cold night. You cook a simple meal, beans, salted pork, hard bread, and sit by the fire, eating slowly, quietly, listening to the storm's fury outside. The wind screams louder now, almost desperate, furious. It can't reach you, can't pull you from your safe haven. As darkness falls, the storm peaks. The cabin shakes violently under the force of wind and snow. You add more fuel to the fire, keeping the flames high. Sleep won't come easily tonight. The noise outside is relentless, terrifying in its power. You sit awake by the fire, watching shadows flicker across the walls. Your mind drifts, wondering about the others out there, neighbors, settlers, families scattered across this harsh frontier. Are they safe tonight? Are they sitting like you, tense but determined, waiting out the storm? Or are they in trouble, desperately holding on? It's these thoughts that keep you awake, the weight of responsibility, the bond that connects every person living in this unforgiving land. No one survives alone. The next morning, if the storm breaks, you'll check on them. They'll check on you. It's unspoken, but understood. Out here, survival means community. Finally, exhaustion overtakes you. You lie down beneath heavy blankets, warmed by the fire and heated stones, listening as the storm gradually quiets. It's still fierce, but the violence has lessened, becoming a steady, rhythmic roar. Sleep comes fitfully filled with uneasy dreams. Dreams of endless snow, wind-frozen landscapes stretching infinitely. You wake repeatedly, heart racing, listening to make sure the cabin still holds the fire, still burns. When dawn finally breaks, weak and gray, you stir, feeling the deep ache of fatigue. You rise slowly, every muscle stiff and sore. You stoke the fire look around cautiously. The storm seems calmer, still blowing, still snowing, but less violent, less threatening. Stepping to the window, you scrape frost away and peer outside. The world has changed again. Drifts deeper. Landscape reshaped by snow and wind. Familiar landmarks buried or gone. But the worst, it seems, has passed. You dress quickly, pulling on layers still damp from yesterday. You push open the cabin door, snow piled waist high now, forcing you to dig a path again to the barn. The animals need care water food. They've survived another night, and you're determined they'll keep surviving. You move carefully, slowly, digging through snow, breathing hard. It's exhausting work, draining strength you barely have left. But you push forward, refusing to give in. This isn't just about survival. It's about stubbornness, determination, the refusal to let winter defeat you. Finally, reaching the barn, you care for the animals, swiftly, methodically, rationing carefully again. Then you pause, catching your breath, and look toward the horizon. Clouds are thinner now, sky clearer. For the first time in days, sunlight breaks through, weak, pale, but comforting, hopeful. It's strange how quickly the mood changes. Just hours ago, you felt fear, dread, anxiety. Now, standing in weak sunlight, you feel something else. Gratitude, relief, quiet, pride. You made it through another storm. You endured, and you know now, without any doubt, you'll survive this winter. You've learned the lessons. Preparation, caution, community, resilience. Winter hasn't broken you. It's made you stronger. As you turn back toward the cabin, your steps feel lighter, easier. The worst storms may still come, but you'll be ready. And you won't face them alone. You glance again toward the distant neighbors' cabins, barely visible shapes against endless white. Soon, you'll visit them, offer help, share stories. You'll gather again, exchanging news, laughter, comfort. Because out here, winter teaches you what matters most. Not wealth, possessions, or comfort, but connection. People. Community. Surviving together. Back inside your cabin, you sit by the fire, warming frozen hands and feet. The flames dance gently, now heat soaking into your bones. You close your eyes, breathing deeply, feeling calm, peaceful. Winter isn't over, but neither are you. You lean back, letting exhaustion wash over you again. But this time, it's a good exhaustion, a satisfied exhaustion. You've faced winter's worst, and you're still here, still fighting, still surviving. And as the fire crackles softly warming your small, precious space, you know one thing for certain. You're not done yet, and neither is winter. Days turn into weeks, and the bitter frontier winter drags on. Every morning begins the same way. Cold cabin. Aching limbs, the fight to build a fire, before numbness settles into your bones. Each day feels repetitive, endless. Yet beneath the monotonous struggle, subtle changes start to emerge, little hints that the harshest days might soon loosen their grip. You notice it first in the quality of light. Days gradually lengthen, sunlight lasting just a little longer each afternoon. The sun hangs higher, and its rays feel warmer, even if only slightly. The snow crusts over differently now, the surface turning icy overnight, then softening during the day as temperatures climb briefly above freezing, before dropping again at dusk. But these tiny shifts are mixed blessings. The constant cycle of thaw and freeze creates treacherous conditions. Paths become slick ice trails harder to navigate. The roof of your cabin drips constantly during the warmer hours, only to refreeze at night, forming sharp icicles that hang dangerously above the doorway. Still, the signs of change provide a kind of quiet hope. Each thaw feels like a promise, an assurance that the coldest, darkest days are behind you. The worst might finally be passing. Spring will come again. One afternoon, after finishing your daily chores, you decide to venture out further to check on your nearest neighbors. It's been weeks since you've seen anyone else, and concern nags at you. In a place like this, isolation is dangerous, not just physically, but mentally. Humans need connection. You need to know your neighbors are safe, and they need to know you're safe too. You bundle up carefully, long johns, wool layers, fur-lined coat, thick mittens, scarf wrapped tightly around your face. You harness your horse to the sled, checking carefully that it's secure. Travel remains risky. Drifts and hidden ice make every journey slow and cautious. But it must be done. The air is crisp, but not deadly as you set out. The bright sun reflecting off snow is blinding, making you squint as you navigate slowly, carefully scanning the horizon for landmarks. Travel out here means knowing the land, intimately recognizing subtle rises, familiar trees, distant rock formations. Maps don't help much when snow erases all features, so you rely on memory and instinct to guide you. Slowly, your neighbor's cabin comes into view, a dark shape against the endless white landscape. Smoke rises thinly from their chimney, a reassuring sign. You feel immediate relief they've made it through at least this far. You pull up close, stepping carefully from the sled into knee-deep snow. Before you even reach their door, it opens your neighbor, emerging bundled just as heavily as you. Their wave-muffled greeting through layers of scarf and wool brings instant warmth. Not physical warmth, but a deeper emotional warmth. The warmth of shared survival, of seeing someone else who understands exactly what you've endured. Inside their cabin, conversation flows easily. Questions about food stores, livestock, conditions, damage from storms, all asked with genuine concern. You trade stories of struggles, near misses, clever solutions discovered out of desperation. Laughter comes easily, even over grim tales. Out here, humor is another form of survival. You share a simple meal: salted meat, dried beans, bread, nothing luxurious but nourishing and comforting. Food always tastes better when shared, when seasoned by good company. For a moment, the harshness of winter fades, replaced by the comfort of human connection, the simple joy of companionship. The conversation eventually shifts toward planning, preparing for spring, assessing losses, deciding how to pool resources. Winter's not done yet, but everyone senses the change. The Great Plains have endured a winter so severe it will be remembered for generations. But spring is inevitable, and now is the time to prepare. Finally, reluctantly, you say your goodbyes, stepping back out into the icy air. Your neighbor sends you off with a small gift: some precious dried fruit, a loaf of fresh bread. Simple tokens that mean everything in such a harsh place. The return journey feels easier. The sled slides smoothly along your earlier tracks, and the burden of worry you carried on the way over is lighter now. Connection matters. Seeing your neighbors safe, sharing laughter and food reminds you exactly why you fight so hard every day. Back at your own cabin as darkness falls, you reflect on this strange winter. It's tested. You pushed you, forced you to discover resilience you never knew existed. But it's also reminded you of something deeply important. No one survives alone. The connections between people, the willingness to share and support each other is what truly matters. You build the fire higher, soaking up its warmth. The small gift from your neighbor feels priceless, a reminder of shared humanity amid harsh conditions. Eating slowly, savoring each bite you feel profoundly grateful for, survival for strength, and for community. Outside, the wind picks up again, blowing snow against the cabin walls. Winter isn't over, not yet, but something has changed within you. Fear has turned into determination, anxiety into acceptance. You understand winter now, its threats and its lessons, and you know beyond doubt that you'll make it. You sit quietly watching flames dance in the stove, listening to the familiar sounds of wind and snow. It's not comforting exactly, but it's known understood. You've adapted to winter's demands, grown stronger through its trials. As the fire burns lower, exhaustion returns. Your body is tired, deeply tired, but your spirit feels renewed. You've faced winter at its harshest, and you've endured. Every muscle aches, every joint stiffens, but tonight, that pain feels earned honorable. It's the pain of survival, of hard-won victory. You settle into bed, blankets heavy but comforting warmth surrounding you. Your breathing slows naturally, steadying. Outside, the night deepens, stars glittering brightly in the cold sky, brilliant against the endless snow. It's beautiful, quiet, peaceful in its harshness. As you drift toward sleep, your mind wanders again, thinking of neighbors, of survival, of strength gained through struggle. Winter hasn't beaten you. It's strengthened you, taught you what truly matters: preparation, determination, connection. Your body relaxes fully now, each muscle letting go of tension held tightly for months. Sleep comes gently tonight. No fear, no anxiety, only deep, peaceful rest. Tomorrow will bring more challenges, more struggles. But you're ready. You'll meet them with quiet determination, strength gained through trial supported by the community that binds everyone together out here. Winter on the frontier never truly ends easily. It fades slowly, reluctantly, testing your resolve every step of the way. But you're not afraid anymore. You're prepared, you're connected, and you're strong. And as sleep finally claims you, drawing you gently toward dreams, you know one thing clearly. No matter how harsh winter gets, you'll survive because you're never truly alone. As winter slowly loosens its hold, each new day brings subtle but unmistakable signs that spring is on its way. The frozen ground softens slightly beneath your boots. The sunlight feels warmer, lingering longer each afternoon. Even the wind, still cold but less biting, carries hints of change, of renewal. But with the thaw comes another set of challenges. Melting snow turns paths into mud, thick and sticky, clinging to boots and wagon wheels, slowing every movement. The roof drips constantly, each drop echoing like a steady drumbeat of change, of progress, but also of anxiety about what winter's thaw might reveal. You start venturing further each day, assessing winter's damage, planning repairs. Fences lie broken beneath heavy drifts. Outbuildings lean precariously, weakened by months of relentless snow and wind. Livestock, those that survived, are thin and weakened, needing careful care to regain strength. Yet despite the exhaustion, the endless repairs, the mud and mess of thaw, there's a growing sense of excitement. Spring feels real now, tangible. You're reminded daily that winter, no matter how harsh, never lasts forever. One bright afternoon, the sun high and warm, you venture out again to check more distant neighbors. This journey feels easier, more hopeful. Paths you once struggled to traverse through heavy snow now yield beneath your boots, easier despite the mud. Birds have begun returning their calls, piercing the air with joyful reminders of new life. Your neighbors greet you warmly, relief evident in their smiles, their eyes. Winter has tested them, two etched lines of worry and fatigue onto their faces, but it hasn't broken them. Like you, they've emerged stronger, more determined, deeply grateful for survival. Gathering together feels special now, almost celebratory. You exchange stories again, but these conversations focus less on struggle, more on plans for spring, repairing fences, planting crops, restocking herds. Everyone shares resources freely, offering seeds, tools, knowledge, anything to help each other rebuild. This is the true frontier spirit: resilience, generosity, community. You feel proud to be part of it, grateful to live among people who face harsh realities with courage, humor, and determination. The bonds forged through winter's struggles now strengthen, deepening into lifelong connections. Returning home, your heart feels lighter, your steps easier. Spring is truly near. The landscape around you confirms it, patches of earth showing through melting snow. Tiny green shoots bravely emerging, birds singing louder, more confidently. Back at your cabin, you take a moment to just stand quietly, soaking it all in. Winter has left its mark on the land, on your body, on your spirit. But those marks are badges of survival, proof of resilience, evidence of strength. You've endured one of the harshest winters ever recorded and emerged stronger. Evening falls gently, twilight bathing the thawing land in soft golden light. You build the fire in your stove again, more from habit than necessity now. The cabin feels warmer naturally, the bitter chill slowly receding. You prepare dinner, simple and nourishing, savoring each bite. Food tastes different now, more precious, deeply satisfying after months of careful rationing. You eat slowly, thoughtfully, grateful for this quiet moment of peace. As darkness settles, you sit near the stove, reflecting on everything you've experienced. This winter hasn't just tested your ability to survive physically, it's challenged you mentally, emotionally. It's shown you depths of strength you never knew you possessed, taught you the true value of community and connection. Your eyes grow heavy with fatigue, but it's a peaceful, satisfied fatigue. Each muscle aches, but the pain feels good now, a testament to your endurance, your resilience. Sleep beckons gently, welcoming rather than something to dread. You prepare for bed, moving slowly, methodically. The routine feels familiar now, layering blankets, arranging heated stones, settling comfortably into your straw-filled mattress. But tonight, the routine feels less urgent, less driven by fear of cold, more by the simple pleasure of comfort. As you lie quietly, feeling warmth seep slowly into your bones, your mind drifts naturally toward the future. Spring will bring work repairs, planting, rebuilding, but it will also bring hope, renewal, fresh starts. The cycle continues, hardship followed by relief, struggle balanced by reward. You think about lessons learned through this long winter, the importance of preparation, the strength found in community, the power of resilience and determination. These lessons won't fade with the snow. They'll guide you through future challenges, shaping how you live, how you face every obstacle. Sleep draws closer. Now, you're breathing slow and steady. The sounds outside have shifted subtly. Night birds calling softly, melting snow, dripping rhythmically. Familiar, comforting sounds that remind you winter's grip is loosening life, returning new growth on the horizon. As you drift toward sleep, your body relaxes fully, each muscle releasing tension held tightly for months. You've survived something truly extraordinary, and the pride, the gratitude, the quiet strength you feel now will never leave you. The frontier winter tested you, but it didn't break you. Instead, it taught you to adapt, to prepare, to endure. Most importantly, it taught you what truly matters: connection, community, the quiet strength that comes from shared struggle and mutual support. Outside, stars glitter in a clear sky, moonlight bathing the melting landscape in silvery glow. Spring is nearly here, its promise hanging softly in the night air. And as sleep finally claims you, gently drawing you toward dreams you know beyond doubt, you're ready for whatever comes next. You've faced winter's harshest tests and survived. You've grown stronger, wiser, deeply connected to those around you. No matter what new challenges await, you'll face them confidently, knowing you're never alone. Winter's harsh lessons will guide you forever, teaching you how to survive, thrive, and find meaning even in the toughest conditions. The frontier has shaped you, taught you resilience and courage you'll carry always. And as you finally sink into peaceful restorative sleep, you feel certain about one thing. No matter how harsh the winters, no matter how tough the challenges, you'll always rise to meet them. Because out here on the frontier, survival isn't just about enduring hardship. It's about embracing it, learning from it, and growing stronger with every challenge you face. Tomorrow will come, bringing new tasks, new beginnings, new chances to rebuild. And you'll meet it ready, resilient, determined, forever, changed forever, stronger, forever, grateful for having survived the winter of 1886.